Wow, so it's been a while since I made a video, but I've been traveling and visiting places that I've never been before all over the world. It's only fitting then today that I'm going to talk about a book by Chuck Palahniuk called Fugitives and Refugees, A Walk in Portland, Oregon, which is where I call home right now. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars in Goodreads, and I read it in 2018. I wrote this about it in July of that year. It probably wasn't fair for me to read this as a representative work for Palahniuk. I love his concepts, but I've always been wary to dive into his books, and I have no good reason that I can think of other than I'm afraid that I'll be let down because my expectations are too high. I thought this would be great because I love Portland, and I could connect with his love and also sample some of his creativity. I come away from this feeling emboldened in my love for the Rose City and armed with some great trivia about it. Outside of that, the journalistic, documentarian style of the medium here confused me about Palahniuk's style. His deadpan retelling of Portland's weird eccentricities made me question what was real and what was imagined fantastic for my benefit. Maybe in this way, it's a great sample of his work, but my confusion doesn't help my initial apprehensions about reading more of his books. I don't think that I'll add any right now, but he'll continue to be a curiosity for me as I build my reading lists in the future. I'm open to recommendations from those of you who know the kinds of books I dig. As far as this book in particular, it's really fun and really Portland and a bit dated. It unfortunately becomes work in a couple places. I thought it would be a quick read because of my Stumptown love, but it wasn't for me, and I'm glad I'm all done with it now. I know a lot of people that have read a lot of Palahniuk's books, and I love that he has a connection to Portland. I think the thing that I mentioned here about my hesitation is really that my expectations are too high because I'm such a huge lover of Fight Club, and I know he has a number of other really interesting titles as well. I think Choke is one of them. I really want to get into his style because it translates to such an interesting thing in the other media that I've seen. In this one, it was just kind of tough, and I think it's not fair to judge Palahniuk this way. The greater leaps to fiction that he takes are the thing that I assume make him really unique as a writer and as an artist altogether. I wouldn't take this rating as anything to take away about Palahniuk, and I haven't, but I also haven't added any other books, just like I talked about in the review. I am still curious. I still do want to read and see how he does other things in fiction. It wasn't the biggest fit for me. And that thing about how not knowing which things are real in fiction made it hard for me because I'm here in Portland and I wanted to experience a lot of the cool Portland things. But then when I got into that sort of liminal space between what's happening and what's imagined, made it difficult for me because I couldn't tap into that nonfiction love when I was trying to sort out what was fiction. Talking about Portland and the evolution of Portland as a city is very interesting to me now too. In 2018, I was living on the edges of the city, all the way out to the western edge. But even just this past August, in August of 2024, I moved downtown. It's really interesting because there's a lot of self-loathing about Portland right now. There's a lot of bad press about Portland and the things that are happening here. And there are struggles here, especially with the unhoused and drug laws and drug policy. But the reason why I moved downtown, number one, because it's very close to where my kids go to school and where they're going to go to school for the conceivable future, but also because the way that I know to help is to kind of get involved. And so I always thought that if I moved here, that I'd be kind of voting with my dollar and patronizing the businesses that really are still struggling to get by after what happened in the pandemic, how so many people moved out of the city and no longer work down here. So many lunch places have turned over and switched. But I've moved right into the heart of downtown, into the cultural district, right near the art museum, and I love it. And I really enjoy the noises of the city, even when they're a little weird, because it reminds me that everything here is alive and kicking and working to be what I believe to be a better place. I also believe that a lot of the self-loathing or a lot of the bad press about Portland is exaggerated. There are difficult things here and there's difficult problems that we need to solve, but as I've done by moving here, I think that the real way to get there and make things better is to become a part of it and buy in, which I've done. I really believe that about all places because I also know that Portland is not an anomaly. I know that there are similar situations with cities all over the country, and especially on the West Coast, where it can be easier for the unhoused to live because of less extreme weather, less extreme temperatures. So I know up and down the West Coast, we're dealing with issues of housing and how we can get people the shelter and the safety that they need. I'm here and I still love Portland. This one directed my attention because it was Chuck Palahniuk's adventures in Portland. I would really like to hear from people if they have particular favorites of his, if they've read Fight Club, if some of the others are exciting and interesting and creative works of his because I'm open to reading more. This one is more fantastic memoir than creative leap. And I think maybe the right thing for me to do is dig into some of his more creative adventures than the ones rooted in reality. So this one, again, is called Fugitives and Refugees, A Walk in Portland, Oregon by Chuck Palahniuk. I read it in 2018 and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Till next.